And you recognized it though. How did you do that? Yeah, that's so funny. I'm so glad you did. Oh my God. Yeah, it's going to be great. I'm going to be on the same flight as my sister. So I can't remember what the water is. I think it's Jacob. What's the water city? I got, do you know Shaz? Yeah. Jacob Shaz? Yeah, he's your leader. Yeah, he's my leader. Rabbi, how are you? Yeah. That was for his birthday. Oh, that's so nice. I never did play. Yeah. You guys would kind of good for physical meeting. You want to go to my mom? You want to go to my mom or not? Mom or not? Sure. Sure. Louise. We will. You want to invite your wife? We will. You want to invite your wife? Yep. We have to buy a boat. We're all ready to go. We have to buy a boat. Yep. We have to buy a boat. We're all ready to go. And there's a couple extras. Yeah, oh yeah. Jennifer, come. If you ever forget extras. Yeah, oh yeah. Jennifer, come. If you ever forget when your parents were born, they're right there. Tearing the born, they're right there. Tearing the. Sure. And then we just need a few more people. Sure. Well, no, James is fast. Yeah, no, sure. Yeah, that's right. Just be careful. He wants. Yeah, that's right. Just be careful. He wants. Gotta move. We have to move Philip. And Aunt Marilyn, you're going to sit next to him. Don't you think you should sit next to him? Hi, I'm Lexi. Hi. Sit here. I'm wondering if I can sit in the back. Just be careful as you're stepping up. Gentlemen, watch your step. Bring it in. And we bow our heads under the burden of sorrow. In our grief, O God, we lift up our hearts to Thee. Grant us, O God, the strength we sorely need, to feel His presence among us, in every noble thought we cherish because of Him, and in every act of goodness we perform because He would want it. Rules this, and a holy thing to love. For your life has lived in me. Your laugh once lived in I el hechari me ayin yavo ezri.
El Hecharime Ayin Yavo Ezri. Ezrime im Adonai Oseshamayim Va'aretz. Ezrime im Adonai Oseshamayim Va'aretz. Al Yitin Lamot Raglecha Al Yanum Eretz. Al Yitin Lamot Raglecha Al Yanum Shomrecha forever. Shomrecha forever. From Psalm 90. Forever. From Psalm 90. From Psalm 90. O God, thou wast in our dwelling place in all Jehothap, but in the evening, our dwelling place in all Jehothap, but in the evening it is cut down and withereth. And so we must each make us glad even according to the days wherein we have been afflicted, the years even according to the days wherein we have been afflicted, the years where we have seen evil, And let thy work appear unto me. They comfort me. They comfort me. Thou preparest a table before me in the presence of mine enemies. Yet the centuries have taught us that a good name endures beyond the grave, and that there is strength in faith. Sandy and James, Philip and Jennifer in Bay on Lake George, to celebrate Larry's 90th birthday. It was truly a wonderful celebration, family. And shared as well was some of the many things that Larry taught us over these years about this journey that we call life, of how to be sure to live our lives with meaning and purpose and intentionality, and to try to make a difference in the lives of people we're blessed to encounter and touch, and in our world in general. And Welsh poet Dylan Thomas wrote these now famous words: "Do not go gentle into that good night. No, rage against the dying light." Finding health and that there was no medical treatment. I think we thought somehow that Larry would live forever. He was wise and he was giving. In many ways, Larry was, I think, a simple person with power. He connected with our soul, our essence. And yet with all this, so many interests and accomplishments. As I mentioned, an accomplished physician. Larry loved his work as a doctor. To be on a team, Larry, we learned, was on the ski team until, as we learned last month, he learned that being on the ski team also meant ski jumping. But he continued skiing most of his adult life, and he was so proud of the downriggers on his boat at the lake. He loved the outdoors. Till the age of 65 or so, still hiking Buck, Black, and Sleeping Beauty each summer. And Larry loved food. As Alan shared with me earlier this week, he loved all kinds of food. And Louise traveled the entire globe. They journeyed near and far to almost 100 countries in our sailboat at night. And family vacations, as Philip shared with me, were not cruises around the world, but going to the Virgin Islands and camping. And Larry loved to sail. I will forever be grateful to Larry and Louise for inviting me and Vina, although if my memory is correct, she mostly lounged on the bow, and then our son Max, often during the summer to sail with them. And for teaching me the little bit, Max reminds me often it's truly a very little bit that I know about sailing. Not only was Larry a Renaissance man with so many varied interests, I think he was also motivated by why pay someone to do something when you can do it and learn how yourself. And so Larry became a master plumber and master electrician, often helping repair a sink or toilet or light switch in one of the apartments that Louise managed. When it snowed, he got up early in the morning to plow the driveway before going to work, learned to change the oil in his car, and was, I'm told, pretty good with a chainsaw. I have no doubt, though, that the center of Larry's life was his family. Louise, we learned last month some of how you and Larry met during college, and you filled in more as we spoke earlier this week. Your first date, you said, was 9/5/55, and by your third date, 9/15/55, you didn't waste much time. You knew this was the one, as did Larry, and in your words, you both wanted the same things that began with family. There was never really any doubt that after medical school you would move back here to be close to your parents and grandparents. Larry loved his family and being with family, and you here were all his family. It didn't matter if your last name was Marwill or Breslau or Resnick or Fine or Barnett, and the list goes on. And Larry was blessed to have a close circle of some dozen childhood friends who could do no wrong. Who could do no wrong. Allow me one more personal word. Lynn and I will forever be grateful for the love and attention that Larry and Louise paid and continue to pay to our children, to Max and to Julia. There are a lot of things that make summers at Lake George special. And toward the top of that list for my kids was growing up and going to Larry and Louise's for Sunday morning breakfast and the special pancakes that Larry made for them. Now comes the hard part. How to treat it well, counting each moment precious, a chance to apprehend some truth, to experience some beauty, to conquer some evil, to relieve some suffering, to love and to be loved, to achieve something of lasting worth. Help us, O God, to fulfill the promise that is in each of us, and so to conduct our lives that generations hence it will be true to say of us, the world is better because for a brief space we lived in it.
Thank you, Rabbi. Thank you, David. A good listener. He was paying attention at the speeches on Dad's birthday. Thank you, everyone, for coming. My father grew up in a close-knit family in Schenectady, New York. His parents, Edna and Ralph Marwill, and his brother Howard lived, I think, first around the corner from his grandparents, Molly and Jay Breslau, and later down the street. Schenectady was full of family. Grandma Edna's sister Selma, her husband Lou, Jane, and even more in the summer at Lake George. Dad always said his first cousins, Royce, Jane, Laura, and Julie, were really cute. And that early blueprint of a large, supportive, extended family, one that eventually grew to include my mother, her family, and my brothers and me, has been a gift to me for my whole life, boys. And it probably helped that he was the business manager of the yearbook, the Q, but he's practically on every page that year. He was the Cum Laude Society member, first sergeant, class secretary. He was, of course, an athlete. He was captain of the varsity soccer and hockey teams. He won a Team Spirit Cup. His athletic career earned him a place at Albany Academy Sports Hall of Fame. It mattered quite a lot. From Albany, he went to Harvard, and he spent 4 years making good friends. He majored in chemistry, and he kept up with his athletics. He played house hockey for Winthrop, and as you heard, he's done quite a bit of skiing. And then on September 5th, you heard on Labor Day, which is also my Grandpa Julius's birthday, Uncle Marty on his dad, June 19th, 1960. And whenever Dad tells this story, he says, "I chased her till she caught me." And their partnership was the bedrock of our family. Dad went to medical school in New York, and life moved fast. I was born during the second year of med school, and my brother Alan in internship. And recognizing how much family mattered, Mom and Dad made a deliberate choice to move north for residency. And he completed his ophthalmology residency in Albany, and Philip was born. And they stayed a generational family. We had our 4 grandparents, Minnie, Julius, Edna, and Ralph, until I was 15. And we had 2 great-grandparents, Jay until I was 10, Molly until I was 21. And there was Uncle Howie, Aunt Marilyn, Suzanne, Roger, Meredith. There was Aunt Betty and Uncle Adolph, our Unkie, a.k.a. Unkie. And then we had our Breslau cousins, most Esther and Lee and Lori, and Aunt Flora when I was a teenager. And then we had our and it was really a wonderful place to grow up. And if you know Dad, his famously dry sense of humor, I was also reading in the Harvard 5-year reunion. Louise has been editing 2 urban renewal newsletters, and my work in the hospital has consumed many hours. However, it said this, we have a new 1-year-old daughter to help with the work. So here I am, and how can I help with the work? How can I help with the work? Dad was my role model. When I was very young, I recall I'd go on hospital rounds with him, and back then a cataract surgery meant an overnight stay. So a cataract surgery meant an overnight stay. So a patient operated on Thursday would not go home until Saturday morning. And I loved going on those Saturday morning rounds, the nursing stations, and that was like really where my interest in medicine began. And I did a summer rotation. In his office, and I saw his work close up. In the end, I went a different way and chose internal medicine over ophthalmology. I always say I preferred looking in the whole face and hearing patients' stories. I attended Albany Medical College, which was close. Memory was when I presented my fellowship research at the Society of General Internal Medicine meeting in Washington, D.C. Dad flew down for the day and sat in the front row, and we were both actually very proud when I did well on my Q&A portion. I definitely inherited my love of sports, endurance sports especially, from Dad. Even if his take was certainly all his own. In the late 1970s, when jogging became a craze, Dad would drive a carpool and look out the window, and he would say, "Where are they going? What's the rush? Who's chasing them?" And then I went out for the track team. Windy, he wanted someone to go sailing with him. If it wasn't windy, he was fishing. Some people can walk and chew gum. Well, Dad invented paddling a kayak and fishing at the same time. It wasn't that successful. He's been a fisherman for nearly 80 years, learning from his father, Grandpa Ralph, but he honestly doesn't have that much to show for it. He followed Mom all over the world, from the steps of Lhasa to Moi of Easter Island, from gorillas in Rwanda to the Duomo in Florence, and he loved her really that much. As an example, Sonya to Italy, Jacob to France and Holland, Serena to England, and all 3 went to college in Massachusetts. And when Sonya and Jacob were nearby, my parents could drive over for a meal or art outing or an occasional ski competition. Most recently, he shares really good sushi with his grandkids, including Zachary, at a place called Sushi Thai on Western Ave in Albany. That's a plug. Dad rallied for his 90th birthday, and I'm so glad that so many friends and family came, because it truly felt like he was celebrating his own life with all of them. And in the end, it comes down to what he loved. Family, especially Louise, water, ice, snow, Lake George, medicine, ballroom dancing, his grandchildren, sushi, and a good party with the people he loved. Oh, and so now I'm going to introduce whoever wants to go next. I'm thinking it's Philip or my kids.
Oh, what about Alex?
It's okay.
Did you write something?
Thank you, David. You did an amazing job capturing my father, and Sandy did as well. I promise I will not be as composed as either of them, and I think I'll be shorter. That's a joke between me and Sandy as we talked about what we were going to say. This is going to be hard, because you all love my father very much. But I wrote down some thoughts. Life is not black and white. For my dad, it often was. Took me a long time to understand that. When it came to conflict issues, dad would simply categorize them as intricate, nettlesome, worthy of many different perspectives, and then move on. He never actually shared that worldview with me, so admittedly I am extrapolating here. For many years I struggled to understand my dad. My mother and I often lamented that he would never fully share what he was thinking. Then in my 30s, I finally asked him why he never gave me advice or helped me figure things out. He didn't hesitate. He responded immediately, quickly. I lead by example. From that day on, that became the lens from which I viewed my dad. And I have to say, it's a pretty productive way to go through life, especially if your goal is to marry the woman you love, raise 3 unique children, and enjoy the company of even more accomplished grandchildren. He loves sailing and fishing on Lake George, which has been mentioned, and everybody probably will say that again and again. My mom and dad traveled the world, visiting nearly 100 countries, and their ballroom dancing skills drew praise from strangers wherever they went. He had an ever-present sense of humor, including to the end. 2 quick anecdotes on his humor. He had new routines, and we would supervise him when he would go to the shower to make sure he wouldn't fall. And so I spent about 15 days this month with my mom and dad, and time for me to take a shower. I said, I'm going to the shower. He responded, said, do you need me to supervise you? Sandy told me this story. I wasn't there for this one, but he had to learn some new routines around the bathroom, and he had a big new accomplishment, and he turned to the aide and said, round of applause, please. He had that sense of humor. I hope all of you experienced it over the years. He really did, and I'm kind of going off script here a little bit, but I remember the first time that I experienced that. Like I must have been a teenager, and we were at a fundraiser for the LGA at the Sagamore, and I was sitting at a table, and he was having a great time with this guy sitting next to me. I said, oh my God, my dad has a personality. He's funny, he's humorous. And I could tell by everybody's here that really, my father really did connect with everybody. David put it very well. Although he rarely gave advice, as I mentioned, he taught me an enormous amount. How to ski, play hockey, woodworking on the same lathe that my grandpa Ralph had taught him, the fundamentals of electricity through the Lionel train set that we acquired, how to tie a bowline knot to secure our moorings, which he obsessed about, going on and on about the moorings.
So many things.
As recently as this year, he taught me how to crawl or coached me, I should say, and taught how to crawl through the tight spaces beneath our Lake George house to turn the water on in the spring. He also taught me how to live within one's means, and the meaning of enough. I will count. He did that by example. It was my mother who taught me about PE ratios, PEG ratios, and dividend yields. But he did a great job, admirable, to teach us how to be happy with what we have and that it's enough. I'm grateful for all those lessons, but most of all, I'm grateful for the advice he never explicitly gave me, but instead passed on by example. Marry the love of your life. Cherish your family. I recently heard someone say that the easiest thing to do is to do what you're told to do. The hardest thing is also to do what you're told to do. I think that about that often when I want to give my own son advice. And perhaps all I really need to do is lead by example. Thank you, Dad. We love you. We miss you profoundly. But you always will be with us through the example you set.
Okay, so first I just want to thank everyone for being here today, and a lot's been covered, so I'll be short. My father, as you all know, lived a long and full life. He was over 90 years old. While it's never easy to say goodbye, there is comfort in knowing that he lived well and left behind a lovely, wonderful family, many friends, and countless good memories. The thing that I admire the most about my father was his partnership with my mother. They were married for 66 years, which is an incredible accomplishment just by itself. They built a life together, raised a family together, and supported each other every step of the way. They supported each other in each of their businesses. So whether they were fixing leaky faucets or seeing ophthalmology patients, they were simply there for each other and supported each other as a team. Work wasn't the only thing they shared. As you all know, their favorite thing to do was dancing. They became quite good at it over the years, but what people noticed the most wasn't their technique. It was how happy they looked together. They were genuinely cute. People watched them dance because they enjoyed seeing two people who clearly loved each other being together. It was a joy to witness. People have talked about my mom and sister and brother about his work ethic and the things that he did. My mom mentioned, David mentioned, he never missed a day's work. But I would just point that out, included. David also mentioned the things he did to save money. But he never missed a day's work, and I was always the most impressed that he never hired anyone to plow the driveway. And for those of you who've seen the driveway, it's a big driveway. So even on the snowiest mornings, he would wake up in the dark, 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning, plow the driveway, and then go to work. Definitely had a profound effect on me and my siblings in terms of a work ethic, going to work and going to school. But when I think about my father, I think about a man who showed up for his family, showed up for his parents, his friends, day after day and year after year. I'm proud to have been his son. And Dad, I thank you for the example you set. Thank you for your hard work, your commitment to Mom and our family, and the values you passed on to us. We will miss you, but we will carry this with us always. We love you, and we will never forget you. And he did also have a great sense of humor, and I was told recently, I can end with one of his jokes for you, and I was told this recently, or reminded, but I have a friend, Ned Berkowitz. Some of you may know him. He's also at Lake George, and he was a pharmaceutical salesman over 30 years ago to my father, and working with my father in his ophthalmology office. And somehow Ned ended up back in the office with my father, and he looked up on the wall and he saw all the degrees and plaques, and he saw his Harvard diploma. And Ned said to my father, "Wow, I didn't know you went to Harvard." And my father looked at Ned and with a total deadpan straight face said, "Yes, I'm one of the smartest people in Albany."
I don't believe that.
That's a true story. That's a true story. So I have a lot of other jokes of his I can share as well. So again, thank you, Dad. Thank you for loving us and Mom, and thank you for your sense of humor.
Hi. Hello? Okay.
It's for the video.
It's for show. Okay. My name is Sonya. I'm honored to be Grandpa's eldest granddaughter and grateful for almost 30 years together. Last month, many of us gathered to celebrate Grandpa's 90th birthday. I feel lucky to have shared a version of this speech and tell him how much I loved him. I've changed that speech a bit and stand here today with my brother Jacob and my sister Serena. You've probably already heard some things from We would like to share 5 things we learned from Grandpa and hope to carry forward into the future. Number 1, the importance of family. You can see this as a theme. Grandpa always prioritized family and brought warmth into our lives. He supported all of our endeavors and big ideas. Grandpa was willing to help facilitate a trip my senior year of high school for my friends, meaning a dozen teenagers, camping on Uncas Island for 2 nights. After a pizza lunch kickoff, he did 2 full trips to the island and back, since we had so much stuff and so many kids. And then after 2 nights camping, we had to make it back to land with 2 more trips. For my bat mitzvah present, Grandma and Grandpa took me to Italy on a unique Michelangelo tour of 3 cities, Florence, Rome, and Venice. This was a special moment to bond with just my grandparents, learn about art, food, and the world. And then when I insisted on going for a morning run in Florence, he volunteered to sit in the square while I ran in circles. When Jacob and I attended Williams College, only an hour from Albany, Grandma and Grandpa always made the trek to come visit and share a meal, hear about our classes, and even tour the Clark Art Museum. He also gave us the best present possible, my mom. She made it possible for us to exist here today. We're really grateful to Grandma and Grandpa for modeling the importance of family and bringing warmth into our lives. Number 2, know your limits. Let me set the scene. Grandpa Larry Marwill, 1954, Middlebury Ski Bowl, on the top of a 120-foot jump, likely wearing a wool sweater, with 2 choices. 1, descend the slope, or 2, quit the ski team. Grandpa always knew what he wanted to do and didn't want to do, so of course, he made the choice to spare his life. Being on the Harvard ski team in the 1950s meant you had to do 3 types of skiing. I don't know if everyone knows this. Cross country, downhill, and ski jumping. I was inspired by my grandpa's sanity and chose cross country skiing for my college pursuit. Not everyone knows this, but Grandpa's college ski coach in the 50s was also my coach and my brother's coach and my sister's coach on the Massachusetts ski team in the 2010s.
Number 3, honor tradition. Grandpa also reminded us of the importance of family traditions in the eating, travel, academics, and activities spheres. In the eating sphere, Grandpa loved eating lots and shared her graduation with all of us last spring. A special memory was sitting in Harvard Yard with 3 generations of Harvard grads. In the travel sphere, Grandpa took us on trips to New York for our 9th birthdays, with the most important stop being the Harvard Club, which he's been a member since 1960. He also took me on a specific trip to the Netherlands. There are so many traditions. Hot tub lake at Lake George, wearing the family sweater that was knit by Grandma, roasting marshmallows, and of course making sure to take the same kissing photo with the same violinist at any wedding held at Temple Beth Emeth. We will always think of Grandpa and celebrate tradition in all of these spheres.
The violin, or maybe speaking Italian. That was not my grandfather. But he did have a wide range of unique skills that are more survival skills, you might say. He believed, as has been mentioned, why pay someone to do the task when you can do it yourself? And also I would ad-lib, why do a task at all? My grandfather, when he wanted to relax, he was a grade A relaxer. He taught me that rather than lie on the grass, you can put a raft in the lake and sink a cement block so that you never have to leave. Among his other skills include chlorinating your own hot tub, providing your own dinner by fishing in the lake, or by shooting squirrels in your backyard, which also double as currency if you need to pay the handyman, and even performing medical surgery on your own cat. I'm still working on my own life skills. Lesson number 5, patience. sometimes impressed by Grandpa's fishing skills, but I was always impressed by his patience. He knew that the joy was in the activity of sitting at the end of the dock, in the kayak in the middle of Basin Bay, or trawling in the putt-putt and taking in the beauty of the most beautiful lake in the world. When Grandpa finally had the chutzpah to ask Grandma to marry him, Grandma famously said she had to think about it. Grandpa then had
I waited 5 years.
Grandma also has amazing patience. They went on to celebrate an amazing 66 years together. I'm still working on my patience, my relaxing, and my fishing. I aspire to be more like Grandpa and remember to enjoy every moment with family and the outdoors. There we go. Thank you so much to Grandpa for modeling these 5 lessons, knowing your limits, the importance of
Birth is a beginning and death a destination. But life is a journey, a going, a growing from stage to stage, from childhood to maturity and youth to age, from innocence to awareness and ignorance to knowing, from foolishness to discretion, love, from joy to gratitude, from pain to compassion and grief to understanding, from fear to faith. From defeat to defeat to defeat until looking backward or ahead, we see that victory lies not at some high place along the way, but in having made the journey stage by stage, a sacred pilgrimage. Birth is a beginning and death a Hail Malay Rachamim, Shochein Bamromim, Hametzemenu Chanechana Tachat Kanfecha Shechina, Lenishmat Eliezer, Shehalach Liolamo, Baal Harachamim, Yitzror B'tzror Chachayim et Nishmato, Adonai Chunachalato, Yanuach B'Shalom Al Mishkavo, V'nomar, Amen. O God, full of compassion, thou who dwellst on high, his possession, may his repose ever be peace, and let us say, Amen. I die, if you need to weep, cry for someone walking the street beside you. And when you need me, put your arms around others and give them what you need to give me. You can love me most by letting hands touch hands and souls touch souls. You can love me most by sharing your joys and multiplying your good deeds. You can love me most by letting me live in your eyes and not in your mind. And when you come to say Kaddish for me, remember what our tradition teaches. Love doesn't die, only people do. So when all that's left of me is love, give me away. Let's join together in the words of Kaddish. Yitgadal v'yitgadash shenei rabbah, v'yalmad yivrach yirutei v'yamlich malchutei, v'chayechon v'yomechon v'chayei l'chol beit Yisrael, ba'agala v'izman kariv yimru amen. Yehei shnei rabbah mevorach v'yolam v'yomei omaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh. Yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shemei l'kedusha v'yirchu. La'elah min kol birchata v'shirata. Tushbechata v'nechamata. Da'amiran v'yalma v'yimru. Amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shamaya v'chayim. Aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'yimru. Amen. Israel and to all humankind. And let us say, Amen.
David, may I please have the bag? Would like, this is sand from our home in Lake George, from the shore. Also, I would also like you to know that Larry is wearing his dance shoes and his tuxedo.
Oh. Instead of everybody coming this way.
memory, now and always be a source of comfort and strength. And let us say. So anybody else who wants to, and at 1 o'clock you are all invited back to Louise's home. We're going to begin Shiva together and also have a little bit to eat. So that's at 1 o'clock.
And if you want more than a little bit,
Get your own.
That's true.
Yeah, you never can be too prepared. It's just like, yep, well, I don't know, we'll see cardiology. I don't know. So,
then you have to wait for those.
Oh, that's so
correct. Nothing, like it used to be a long way.
Henry. Henry.
So,
I met him once.
type 1 diabetes, no insulin equals dead. Like, it's like,
He would what? My reference to the line on train set. No, I know you have all that.
yeah, I'd have to work. I'd have to work. Yeah. Well, I said, I'm sorry to be here, but I'm very happy to see you. And I'll call. I think I